My guest today is Tom Gann, creator of the EV-focused YouTube channel, Ludicrous Feed. On the channel, you'll find a host of great content on brands such as Tesla and BYD. Plus, Tom hosts a regular live podcast on his channel covering a range of EV topics. I'm Adrian Maidment, and this is the EV Quest podcast. Hello, Tom.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Hi, good to meet you. I watched a lot of your videos.
Thank you.
Well, just for a start, Tom, what motivated you to start your EV channel?
Yes, so it all started in 2016, actually, before I started the channel. I was driving, believe it or not, around Sydney, a diesel SUV, and it was impacting the health of my family. Every time they would step in the vehicle, every time I parked it in the garage, the fumes would make them cough, and we've got asthmatic children, so it wasn't good for their health. So I could either buy a sort of a more fuel-efficient vehicle, or I could look at electric. And of course, Tesla was the market leader at the time, so I thought, hey, why not? Let's buy a Tesla and see if their health improves. And yes, it has, I must say.
And do you get those, I think in your comments on your website, you said you got lots of questions when you bought it about like, why have you actually bought a electric vehicle? Were people surprised you bought one?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, there weren't many EVs around, so, obviously the health benefits, there weren't many questions about that, but it was more around the longevity of the battery. I guess that's still one of the top questions I get asked today. How long do these batteries last? And obviously it was, quite expensive at the time to buy an EV. It still is, relatively speaking, in Australia. It is getting cheaper, but yeah, I think the battery longevity was probably the number one question back in 2016.
And do you still own your Tesla?
I've still got the Model S, 2015 Model S. I bought a second hand, by the way. And about to do a battery longevity test on it. I'm expecting it to be around the 10% mark. I did a preliminary one the other day, and yeah, it's about that. So once I calibrate it properly, it should be around 10%. So after 8 years, almost 8 years, and the battery warranty is about to run out in 6 months, I'm pretty happy with 10%.
I guess not many people have been able to achieve that level of research.
Yeah, that's right. I think you need, I'm using an app called Scan My Tesla, which plugs into the car itself via an OBD port. So I don't think you can get much more accurate than that than plugging it straight into the car.
Is there a car outside the Tesla range that's really impressed you over the last 12 months, or are you a diehard Tesla fan?
No, I'm not a diehard Tesla fan, or at least not relatively speaking, compared to some of my other social media friends that I've seen. No, I'm always on the lookout for something better. And at the moment, I think I am biased towards cars or car companies that are fully invested in EVs. I'm happy to look at other brands that sort of dabble in it, but I'm really only interested in car companies that really have put everything into it because they can see the future is coming. So in my opinion, for value for money, I think a car company like BYD presents really good value. If you can't, if your budget doesn't extend to buying a Tesla, then in Australia, BYD is probably the next best option, I think, for value for money.
You've got several videos on the BYD Atto 3, haven't you?
Yes. So EV Direct, who are the suppliers here in Australia, or the distributors, have been very kind to loan me and my family a BYD Atto 3 over our summer. Had it for 6 weeks in January, so very grateful to them. And we managed to do a road trip from Sydney to Melbourne and back again. So I think that's one of the great road trips in Australia, Sydney to Melbourne. And yeah, it fared really well. I was very happy with it all the way and back.
So once you go to each stop, wouldn't you, and to see if the power was working and everything, and but everything go pretty smoothly.
Yeah, I got a few comments around whether I should have stopped that often, but as I kept saying, it's the whole point of the video was to show what was out there rather than try and get there quickly. And at the moment, it's hit and miss. The non-Tesla DC network, it could be better. But I think we'll get there. I think since I went on that trip, a lot more have been installed in our state, in New South Wales, and certainly in other states too. So hopefully we can repeat that trip in 6 months, 12 months, whatever, and show the folks what has improved.
Yeah. How would you describe the state of sort of EV uptake in, I guess, New South Wales, since that's your home state?
Yeah, I think I've been following the trends over the last few months, and I think New South Wales is probably the most progressive when it comes to encouraging EV owners. They've had a great policy in the last few months, that funding rounds for third-party suppliers and installers to put in new EVs in the state. If not fully funded, then partially funded, which is great. That encourages business. And yes, not just Tesla superchargers, but also non-Tesla DC charging stations will be popping up very soon. It was more like a 2-year plan, so I'm very curious to see what will happen in the next couple of years. And also some of the gas stations or petrol stations are starting to get in on it too. And companies like Ampol and BP are starting to put EV chargers in their petrol stations. And I guess that's a good fit because, you know, petrol stations are naturally where people stop anyway to fuel up and to recharge, so to speak. So yeah, hopefully we'll see improvements in the gas stations and petrol stations, maybe some sitting areas because obviously EV charging takes longer, some more recreations around. So yeah, I think things are looking up in New South Wales.
Do you think Tesla's going to retain its dominance along with, say, BYD in the future?
Yeah, I think, well, it's hard to say, but I mean, obviously worldwide, BYD is number one, and that's thanks to the Chinese domestic market. The word on the street, I think Tesla is still an aspirational brand. People in Australia still sort of use Tesla and EV as sort of synonymous. Tesla is EV at the moment, but not to say BYD is not nipping at the heels. They're certainly number 2 in this country. So I think give it 12 months as more cars enter the country and people start to see them driving around, curiosity will peak. And like I said, the value is there for BYD. That's where they'll get the advantage.
Yeah, they've had a great launch in New Zealand. They should have made a video of that. They sort of came from nowhere, and everyone was like, "I'll buy that." I've heard nothing about them, but I'm going to buy it. So it was it was an amazing piece of just sort of branding from coming from nowhere. Just on your YouTube EV YouTube fame, where's that taken you recently?
Fame. Well, I don't know about fame, but
events.
It's certainly increased my reach, which is great. Like the aim of the channel was to increase awareness of EVs, which I think hopefully it's achieved in step with the uptake in Australia. So I'm very grateful for that. It's taken me to amazing places, actually. I've been invited to some product launches recently. Like BYD's been very kind to invite me to their Atto 3 launch in Australia. I've been invited to other launches, like MG's been very kind as well. They're very cool launches. I've been able to test drive a lot of fresh cars. That's opened a few doors there. And I've always said, if you want to be a fan of a Tesla or whatever brand you're a fan of, you need to try the rest. You can't just sort of put all your eggs and go, yep, I love this brand. I'm naturally very scientific by nature, so I need to make sure that, what I'm plugging or what I'm advocating is still the best, whether it be another EV brand or just ICE cars in general. So I'm always doing comparisons, always doing road test drives of other vehicles, other brands to make sure that Tesla's still, ahead of the game, so to speak, and see what the competition exists out there at the moment. So yeah, my channel certainly helped me do that because people know what I'm about, what the channel's about. I try to be as unbiased as I can, try to be fair and balanced, and I think other manufacturers appreciate that.
And you were at the recent Fully Charged show.
Yeah, Fully Charged Live. That was awesome. Great to see Robert Llewellyn and his team set up in Sydney and showcase what's the current state of play, so to speak, in Australia, and a bit of a taste of what's out there in the rest of the world. We saw the MG4 launch in Australia too, so I'm looking forward to testing that. But yeah, I think the team have posted that they'll be back in 2024 in Sydney again. So yeah, I think bigger and better things from here on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Was the MG? I've sort of read a lot of reviews how great it is. Does it look that good in the flesh, so to speak?
Yeah, I think so. You could probably compare it to, say, the Atto 3. They're fairly similar in size. I had a quick look at it. I think there was a website saying it's very close to the Golf, the Volkswagen Golf in terms of size. Yeah, I think in terms of range, it's okay. It's sort of hitting that magic 400k mark for the extended version as well. So it's okay. Like, I don't think it'll be it's probably not a family car. It's probably a little bit small for that. But like for an urban vehicle, for maybe a young family or like a couple or a single person, I think that'd be fine. It's a nice urban vehicle and probably good for sort of short to medium sized road trips.
Yeah. What's a car you're looking forward to checking out this year, Tom?
Yep. So coming up, I've got the Kia EV6 GT. Kia are kind enough to loan me that next month. So if you're watching my channel, look out for that. From the BYD point of view, I am looking forward to testing the Seal when it lands eventually in Australia, and then the Dolphin as well. Tesla, we're waiting for a rear-wheel drive Model Y to be delivered to our household. So, looking forward to giving more reviews on that too. What else? I guess I'm still waiting for other Chinese brands to come into the market, like Xpeng, Neo. I think the market's ripe for those brands to come in and offer some affordable type vehicles in the country. Also, the Kia EV9, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice big SUV, good for road trips.
Yeah, because I've read that you've got solar panels on your roof, house of your roof. Is that the way to go for long-term savings?
Oh yeah, I think solar. If you do renewables, you gotta kind of look at your house as a whole different picture. Like it's part of the whole infrastructure, the whole ecosystem. So now the car belongs to the house, belongs to the roof, belongs to your battery. You got to think of it as a whole. So yes, certainly having solar panels will help your EV fuel consumption, because if you are at home at any time during the day and you've got sun, there are apps out there that can help siphon excess solar to your car rather than sending it back to the grid for nowadays the pittance. It's not much money, so you might as well charge your car up. And obviously it'll save money for your house as well, because you can offset all your electricity with solar during the day. And then obviously if you've got a battery, you can soak up some of that in the battery and then power your house at nighttime when everyone's home and doing the dishes and cooking and bathing or whatever, showering. And yeah, I think, as I said, a whole ecosystem, including your house, your home, your car, your solar panels. And I think that's the way forward.
What would you say have been the biggest advantages you've found from owning an EV?
Yeah, I think number one is the convenience. I live in a house. I'm lucky enough to have a house in Sydney, so I can plug in at night into my garage wall charger, wall connector, and I just plug in and every couple of nights or whatever, every few nights, and then walk away and get on with my life. I don't need to go to the petrol station anymore, which is great. I'm producing my own power from the roof most of the time, not paying someone else to fuel up for me or pay petrol that's going overseas. The energy here is homegrown from our sun, or the same sun that's in the sky. So that's number one. Number two, sure, the outlay is expensive buying an EV compared to an ICE, but in terms of running costs, it's just amazing. Especially from a Tesla, you don't have to maintain it. There's no scheduled servicing. You just bring it in if you need to, and obviously the electricity is a lot cheaper than fueling a petrol car of equivalent distance. And obviously the last one is the health. So I touched on that before. It's been a lot easier to breathe around the place with zero tailpipe emissions. The family's happier. I'm happier. I'm not breathing in diesel or petrol, and there's less noise pollution on our streets with with more EVs and less petrol cars. So I think the benefits go on and on. But they're sort of the main ones that I can think of for our family.
And what can people look out for coming up soon on your channel?
Yeah. Like I said, we're expecting delivery. Sounds like having a baby. Expecting delivery of the Tesla Model Y very soon. So I think there'll be some fresh content around that. Particularly now the Model Ys and Model 3s, the base models come with the LFP battery, which is different to what we've had previously, which is the NMC battery. So different battery chemistry, different way of charging the cars. So I'm looking forward to educating and enlightening our viewers. I guess that's always been the channel's goal, not to be a quick sort of, quick clickbait kind of video. It's more informative, more entertaining, entertaining too, but more informative, more educational, and just hopefully convince the viewer that EVs are a better way to go.
Yeah. Okay, Tom, that's great. I think that's pretty much covered my main questions. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching the video, and here is another EV podcast video for you to check out.